Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be here today to present a few ideas about investment in general, especially investment in our modern world of fast-paced changes and greater uncertainties. Many years back, I was reading Business India, and there's one page in Business India always that gives you a few interesting statistics generally relevant to that month. And one of the statistics in one line was amount of money spent by the government of Maharashtra on eradication of malaria. X number of crores of rupees. Very next line, percentage actually spent of this money on detection and cost of medicines in curing malaria. 1%. The rest of the money had disappeared into the bottomless pit of Indian bureaucracy. Of late you have been reading about something called the IEPF. I don't know how many of you have heard of it. Investor Education and Protection Fund, once again established by the government of India, with the avowed objective of financial literacy. I regret to inform you I'm not a very big believer in financial literacy. I've seen people who are supposedly financially literate being financially irresponsible. I know so many retired bankers who took VRS and with their VRS proceeds were speculating in the stock market. Today, I want to open my presentation by spending a couple of minutes on this concept of financial responsibility. And the best introduction for us to meditate a little bit about financial responsibility is the statement from Frank Netti. Frank Netti is an expert on retirement planning. He's an American of Italian descent. He has this beautiful statement. Let's read it first. By law, you have the right. By nature, you have a duty. And to your family, you have an obligation to be a good steward of all your assets. 4 brilliant ideas in one sentence. Let's understand the ideas again. By law, you have the right. By nature, you have a duty. And to your family, you have an obligation of being a good steward of all your assets. Let us reflect on this for just a minute. But when I reflect on it, I will be reflecting on it backwards. You must be a good steward, a good guardian, a good manager, somebody who safeguards your assets. We start from there, work backwards. Why should you be a good guardian of your assets? You have a responsibility to your family. That is easy to understand. By nature, you have a duty. We are supposed to be human beings. I said supposed to be deliberately because we have Discovery Channel and National Geographic that repeatedly remind us that sometimes animals behave better than us. There is a lot of wasteful things we do. That's why today we are grappling with climate change, economic devastation, the destruction of the world's biodiversity, environment, and so on. And the animals are affected not because of their actions, because of our actions. Similar kind of thing happens in the financial world. And these two things that we have, the duty that we have by being human beings and the responsibility that we have to our families are recognized by the first point there, by law, not just in India, but in all economies where you would have a market-oriented economic system running. The law gives you the opportunity to be a good steward of your assets. How do you become a good steward of your assets? By a process which loosely today is called financial planning. So with this introduction, I want to deal with a few areas of investment and finance that we will do ourselves a favor by concentrating upon grasping and implementing. My very first point is that investing and speculation are two entirely different things. And if we want to be successful stewards of our financial assets, we better understand the difference between these two concepts. The best definition that I have come across of investment and speculation goes something like this. Investment is the purchase of an asset for the conservation of wealth and the increase of wealth, with the emphasis on the conservation of wealth. And speculation is also the purchase of an asset for the same two objectives of conservation of wealth and the increase of wealth. But there is a shift in emphasis. It is on the increase of wealth. It is not surprising why so many people speculate when they should be investing. The two concepts are so closely related. The difference is just on emphasis. It is very easy to confuse the two. And there are many of us in the financial services industry who will deliberately confuse these two issues, and commit one sin that I am not prepared to tolerate in the financial advisory services business, and that sin is to convert an investor into a speculator. So my talk this morning is going to be mainly on investment. To add to what I said, investment is safe speculation. Speculation is hazardous, dangerous investment. There's so much of speculation taking place today in the stock market. Once again, let us pause to reflect about the foolishness of speculation. We can do so by a simple example. Let us assume you have an investment opportunity that gives you 24% return per annum. By any standards, you will agree that a 24% return is an excellent return. We talk about the stock market. The BSE Sensex, even calculated from 1979, has given you only 18% of compounded annual return. Most developing countries' stock markets would give you about 14 or 15% CAGR, compounded annualized returns. The developed countries, of course, far less, 9 or 10%. I'm talking about an investment opportunity that gives you 24% return per annum. Just for the next 2 minutes only, not beyond that, we will assume it is safe. The deal is very simple. You give your friend 100 rupees on the 1st of January, and on the 31st of December, he or she gives you back 124 rupees. Very simple, you can't find anything simpler than this. 12 months, 24 rupees of return on a principal of 100 rupees. Very roughly, not the way the bankers calculated, but the way you and I calculated, 24 rupees divided by 12 months is 2 rupees per month. At this outrageously high rate of return of 2 rupees per month, it takes 3 months for 100 rupees to become 106 rupees. Now contrast this with what stock market speculators want. When we are having breakfast in the morning at 9 o'clock, we want to buy a share at 100 rupees. And long before we have lunch at 12, we want the price to go up to more than 106. When at 24% return per annum, it takes 3 months for 100 rupees to become 106 rupees. What is the kind of return that should be generated to make the price of an asset jump from 100 to 106 rupees in 3 hours?